All right, I'm here out in Santa Monica with my buddy Blue, who is a 9-month-old golden lab puppy who is, those are two real powerful breeds, and he likes to pull on the leash. So in this video, we're going to show you some tips and tricks that you can use to stop dogs from pulling on the leash. Now, the first thing you want to do is assign your dog a right or left side. A lot of people, I find they like to based on which way traffic is or which way we're walking. Don't worry about that. We have two dogs, so we want one dog walking on the right, one dog walking on the left. So when we're walking the dogs, if we need to correct a dog, we can do that with one hand without, if otherwise they're both on one side, I'm correcting both dogs, even if one might only misbehave. So pick one side for the other, whoever, figure out which one is easier for you guys, because the guardians right here have been walking both on the left. So basically, once the dog has a side, we want to teach dogs not to pull on the leash. Dogs have what's called an opposition reflex. They are programmed. You can actually film him just from right there. You can see he's pulling. If I pull, see how he's pulling? There's tension on the leash. He's pulling against it. So you can come back to me. So for dogs, if we pull them into position on the leash, dogs are programmed to pull against any pulling. So we're guaranteed to have a tug of war the whole walk. You're not going to like it, your dog's not going to like it, it's not going to be any fun for anyone. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can teach your dog that when it gets to the end of the leash, to turn around and come back to you. Now the first thing I do is I teach them to be on a side. Now we're in Santa Monica, we don't have a yard right now, so we'd have to find a place to do this if you have a friend who has a fenced yard. The first way I do it is if I want him to walk on my left side, is I would walk around him in counterclockwise circles. In a small circle, so about 8 foot, maybe 10-foot circle. Anytime the dog looks at me, I would click if I'm using a clicker, and then immediately treat the dog. At first, it's just that it looks at you, it clicks and gets a treat. Then if it takes a step towards you, it gets a treat. Then 2 steps towards you. After a while, the dog's kind of following you around in your circle. So if the dog loses interest, then make the circle, and it walks around somewhere else, come back, make your circle smaller, come back to it, and keep on circling. All right, so that's the first thing, is to teach the dog which side to walk on, the right side or left side. The second step is I'm going to teach the dog to come back to me once it hits the end of the leash. Now, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to have the camera person back up in a second. I'm going to walk back and forth, not yet. And as soon as the dog passes in front of me, for dogs, whoever's in front is perceived to be the leader. And if you have 2 dogs, they're both going to pull to try to be in front, and now you're like mushing. So what we do is have you guys practice one dog at a time. As soon as the dog passes, its chest passes my torso, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to jerk the leash. I'm just going to wait until the dog gets to the end of the leash. Once it gets to the end of the leash, at first, I'm going to make a kissing sound. And I'm doing that kissing sound to get the dog to look at me. As soon as the dog turns around, I'm going to crouch down, which is more appealing, inviting for the dog. It's going to cause the dog to come back to me. When he does, I'm going to give him the treat. I'm going to say the word return. You can use any words you want. But basically, I just want to mark it so I actually do have a command word I can command the dog to do. Then I'm going to start walking again. And then I'm going to keep on repeating this process. Come here, buddy. As soon as the dog passes me, I stop. When he gets to the end and it gets tense, then I make the kissing sound, he comes back to me. Now, if the dog, when he gets in front of you, if he's just sniffing the ground, he's not paying attention at all, then I would turn and walk the other direction. And don't pull him, just let your arm go limp, but keep going. Don't stop for him. And then once he passes you again, you're into that one. Now, here's the other thing, the little pro tip about teaching this method, is most of us, when we're going for a walk, we are thinking about the destination or the duration of the walk, and we get frustrated when the dog doesn't cooperate with us. So for this, what I recommend you do is practice, instead of a distance or a duration, just come out and practice. You know, I'm going from Arizona to Delaware, well, Wilshire, excuse me, but maybe from Arizona just to the dog run here and back. And I'm just walking back and forth. I'm not actually planning on going for a walk anywhere, so you take the duration out, you take all your emotional baggage out, and you're just gonna walk back and forth, and the dog's like, I've already walked around here, I've already peed around here. Santa Monica. And so eventually the dog gets to the point where it's just like, and it starts walking next to you, but eventually what happens is, because the dog is a little bit bored with the scenario, it's gonna come back to you a little bit faster. And eventually what will happen is the dog will hit the end of the leash and turn and come back to you automatically. Now, the first step is just as soon as the dog passes me, I stop, I wait for the dog to come back, I make a kiss, I crouch down, it comes back, I give the treat and say return. After I've been doing this for a sufficient amount of time where the dog is coming back pretty well, then what I would do is once the dog gets to the end of the line and it hits the end of the leash, I'm going to wait 1 second. Then I'm going to make the kissing sound and make it come back. I want to give that 1 second opportunity for the dog to automatically turn around and come back to me. If you do this right, eventually the dog hits the end of the leash and just will auto return back to you. And that's the first stage of teaching a dog to walk with a loose leash. All right, so we have, how does he do around strollers? Excited or? different?
Excited, probably.
Well,
yeah.
we'll go ahead and I'm going to have the guardian step back against, so you can see us both. And we're going to step out of the way. We're going to let the stroller do the guardian. Now, this is a great practice opportunity. Come on now. So I'm practicing helping him ignore somebody who's coming by, and we're moving on the street and letting your neighbors pass by. That's good social graces for him. All right, so I'm just going to walk back and forth this way. So again, I'm walking down the sidewalk. And then you can continue going, or you can turn around. Since we're doing back and forth, we're just going to do it right here. So I'm going to turn around. Bloop. Now you see, he's a smart dog. Sorry about that. He started coming back to me before I even had a chance to call him. Now, if you have somebody coming by, your dog's lurching, you might have to pull a little bit like that. But you want to avoid pulling as much as possible. All right, so I'm going to do a couple more, so we'll hopefully get a couple of strings back and forth. But you saw, he only had one treat, and he already started turning around looking at me, and that's the whole point of this. All right, let's try that again, buddy. Now, we want to make sure he goes to the right side. If I hold the treat out in front, he's gonna go to wherever the treat is. So I'll show you on this side. So I'm gonna hold the treat over here because that's where I want him to return to. And then I do this, I call this a pure leg return. So I'm gonna kind of twist him around so he's facing the same direction. Now I can grab another treat. Always have your treat ready to go first. We start walking again. See, he's already starting to pay attention to me because he likes these treats. And I'm going to teach you one other little bonus tip in this one. So something else I practice is what I call the long walk. Again, we have a tendency to think of duration or the distance or destination of our walk. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to take no more than 5 steps and walk around the block. I'm never going to take more than 5 steps in a row before I ask the dog to sit. So sometimes I take 1 step and I ask him to sit, then I take 3, then 4, and then 1. And so he never knows what the number is going to be. But after a while, as you just saw, he was already looking at me. Well, now every time we stop, I ask him to sit, and then he gets a treat and I say the word sit. After we do this for a while, when he's walking, he's checking in with me to see he's about to stop. And what will happen is eventually he'll stop, you'll stop, and he'll automatically sit down, and then your neighbors will be like, that's amazing, Blue used to pull all over the place. You're like, of course, we hired dog on problems. But no, what we're doing is we're teaching him is that when I stop, if you sit down, you get a treat. And then when you go and you stop to talk to a neighbor, your neighbors are like, wow, your dog is really polite. It really is. We're essentially teaching them manners. All right, so I'm going to show you just a couple, just that real quick, and we'll wrap up this video. Blue. Better camera presence if you're on the camera side. All right. Sit. And again, have some treats ready to go. Even though I have this treat pouch, I'm going to have several in my hand. Loose leash, no tension on the leash. If he gets in front, I'm going to lure him back. Sit. 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 Got an auto sit already. 3 treats. He's a smart dog. Of course, one of his guardians is a blue devil, so of course. All right, well, this is Blue, and these are some tips and tricks that you can use to teach your dog to stop pulling and learn to walk with a loose leash.